Do you know, because I can't see the people. I can see like the screen being shared, but is there a way that I can make it so I can see people or no? Or is
It's
that
up to those attending to show their faces.
okay. I just don't know. I'm not familiar. I'm not super familiar with the Microsoft Teams.
Okay. Hi, Chris. Okay, we're ready to start whenever you are, Chair.
Okay, I'm Chris Gans, Chair of the IID DRC. May we have roll call, please?
Yes, Mr. Barrett.
Present.
Mr. Burr.
Present.
Mr. Gans.
Present.
Mr. Gonzalez, our design professional.
Here.
Mr. Madlek. He let me know he was probably not going to be able to make it today, but he shared some feedback with me, which I can share with the DRC whenever we're ready for it. Ms. Schambach? Mr. Viner?
Here.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chair, we do have a quorum.
Okay. Item 2, approval of legal action report of June 23, 2021 meeting. Are there any comments on that?
Been so long, I don't recall. They look all right. That's a brief summary.
Yeah,
Okay.
I tried to send it right away after the meeting, so.
I
But yeah, just as a
bunch of comments in June, but I can't recall them now. So motion to approve is presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in
excuse me, who
favor?
seconded?
Aye.
Who seconded that motion, please?
I did, Bill Viner.
Okay, thank you, Bill. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And I abstain because I was not at that meeting.
And Mr. Chair, those who are not present at meetings, they're still able to vote since the materials and the recordings are always available for their viewing prior to the meeting. Okay.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
motion passes.
Okay, next on the agenda is item number 3, IID-20-03, food conspiracy T21SA00364 DP21-0117. First item is A, the preliminary staff remarks.
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the IID DRC, this is the food conspiracy on 4th Avenue. I'm sure all of us are familiar with it. The applicant is proposing to expand the existing grocery with over 3,600 new square feet, addition 20 foot high. And also they're proposing a new entrance from the east side of the property. And also the construction of a new almost 900 square foot canopy over the new courtyard on the east side of the property for live performances, cooking demonstrations, and exhibition space for local artists. And also they're proposing about a 400 square foot detached storage building also on the east side, and also about 1,000 square feet of edible gardens. These, new additions to the property, we're seeing them as the existing food and beverage sales land use, but also a new civic assembly land use, just based on the proposed use of that courtyard in the rear. So the applicant is requesting to make use of the IID as a zoning tool for reduction of motor vehicle parking spaces to 0. Also, they're proposing to modify the required landscaping and screening, the solid waste collection and recycling, which the Department of Environmental Services has reviewed and they are okay with it. And also the reduction of the street perimeter yard setbacks, which the required setback would be 10 feet from the east property line to 0 feet. The design professional has reviewed a couple of times this project and is recommending approval. The Tucson Pima County Plans Review Subcommittee from the Historical Commission is scheduled to review this project next week on December 16. We usually go with them first and then through the IID DRC, but trying to help out the applicant go through the process before the holiday season. We scheduled it this way this time, and we have with us Jody Brown, our Historic Preservation Officer, to help answer questions related to historic preservation. And that's all I have, Mr. Chair, and the applicant is also available for a presentation.
Okay,
Maria?
are there any questions for Maria before we go to the applicant?
Just a
Presentation.
quickie. So is it just 412 that we're reviewing today, or is it basically all the parcels that comprise both the 3rd Avenue property and the 4th Avenue frontage of the co-op?
Mr. Burr, Mr. Chair, members of the DRC, no, it's just this one property facing 4th Avenue. The other property on the other side of Cove Avenue, that is not within the boundaries of the IID. They're working on both properties, but only this property falls within the IID.
Okay, so we're
So
not even, we're not even discussing the parking lot, the east entrance, or any of that. This is just for the Food Conspiracy Co-op building.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Next on the agenda is project presentation by applicant Rob and company.
So I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you guys can share your screen, the applicant.
Okay. Can everybody hear us? Are we?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for looking at this, everyone. And it's interesting. John Burr kind of summed up the dilemma that we're in because we're providing most everything that's being asked of us on the other lot. And it's kind of a weird conundrum where Hoff, which is the street to the east, out the alley street, it separates the second site owned by the Food Conspiracy. So that is the conundrum we're in because we're providing parking, the handicap spot, the trash collection and recycling is all on the other side of that street. And I think the dilemma that we're in is when this was first instituted as which the IID is an amazing tool, is it only applied to the one site and not the back site. So in large part, we have to seek this, no parking and other things for the front site, which is all within kind of the letter of the law, if you will. But in fact, we're providing all of that on the back end, primarily for the reason that the Food Conspiracy, they've been there 50 years. It's an amazing place. I've been going there since I think I was 10 years old. And I just wanted to mention it's locally owned. Everybody has health insurance there. It's all that money stays in Tucson, unlike when you go shop at anywhere else in town. It's an amazing thing to support. The great thing is it's going to have a substantial effect on the avenue. They've kind of been one of the longest tenants there. So there's so many positive things happening that I don't even want to get into, since this is really just for, I think, just reducing some of these things that we're also then adding on a site that's adjacent to it. So unless there's any questions, I'll just run through this so in the effort of saving some time.
Why don't you do that, Rob, and then we can have questions afterwards.
Okay, so we'll just start sharing the screen.
Yeah, so you can see the presentation, is that right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, so basically, the entrance has always been on the west side, and this project's been, I think, going on for a long time, like 10, 12 years, talking about what if we switch this around. What I like about this is it basically creates a locally owned, like Trader Joe's type approach where you've got a lot of parking. You can get your cart, go in, buy a substantial amount of groceries, and come back out to your car. So then we looked at, which they internally, the food co-op came up with some concepts, and then we kind of made it real and added quite a few things to it. But this is an image that shows what one would experience as you cross Hoff Avenue going down this ramp. There's a 3-foot separation between 4th Ave and Hoff. Hoff is actually 3 feet up. So it gives us the opportunity to actually kind of nest down into this area. And we're very big on outside areas. We have this amazing climate like today. You could be outside or inside, it doesn't matter. So the whole idea is that create this experiential space of a giant canopy that serves as your entryway. You go past these fruit trees. There's a garden space on the upper end. The hope is there's a lot of local producers of vegetables that could take over some of these garden spaces and have a growing season. So it really makes for a fun, shaded entry point to the actual food co-op. Once again, that we're adding square footage. Incidentally, the kind of break point on grocery stores is 6,000 feet, and we're going to just get up to that square footage. So it becomes a real market, more substantial. They can provide more products for clientele. And with the parking on the Hoff site, we really looked at that. I'll get into that on the site plan. So let's just keep moving. This is kind of a Discord. We did a lot of presentations of this. Is that the first sheet?
I'll show you the first sheet. Sorry.
Yeah. So it starts and ends of the same thing. You've seen all the narrative, but this is the two sites. So obviously 4th Avenue, that's the site that we're seeking this IID on. But in essence, a lot of the things we're providing on the secondary site, which is not part of the IID. So to make this work, we initially had like a couple car spaces on the 4th Avenue side and said that's ridiculous because, if, say 5% of the people are parking on that site, it doesn't make any sense. So we put all the parking on the Hoff site, and there is just the ethos of the co-op. They wanted to make sure that there was plenty of landscape, kind of create a new paradigm, if you will, for a parking area. So it's porous paving, there's trees every 3 spaces, and really green that whole area up, even outside of the parking area. So if I could just run through the shared accessible parking, that became the area that it made sense to put our handicap spots, if you will. That's me. I'm old school. I'm not politically correct. So I've always called it handicap spots. But that's the top of the ridge, which is 1/8 inch per foot or less. And then you can roll down. That's something we've learned, that it's not the length, it's just the slope. And if it's got clean, evident pathway, because once you're on wheels, some of us are cyclists, once you get going, your momentum just pulls you in. So the second thing was, which Andy Vera wrote us a letter and said it's okay, is both the size of the refuse and recycling area, but it's also across the way. And this is how they've used this for 50 years, where the refuse is across that alleyway. The basic thing, though, is all the efforts being spent on the backside, which even includes the historical part. Jody Brown, I guess we have that review. We also have a letter from Miss Leonard, who's head of SHPO in Phoenix, saying that everything we're doing is per the standard. We're not even touching the front face of 4th Avenue, and that's where the historic is prevalent. Everything is on the backside, so it's a unique situation that's not even an issue. The third thing was phase 2, but that's not happening within this, given the cost escalation, which has been crazy. It's almost a 50% increase in cost from even a year and a half ago. I know Bill Viner will attest to that. It's been a very hard process to get this entitled and then also get it priced out. Some of the factors are, you can imagine, they've leased half their space and they've owned half their space over the years. And so anytime they had anything electrical coming in or HVAC or new refrigeration. It was kind of ad hoc. So we really had to spend a lot of time figuring out the electrical as well as the 3-foot differential in the back and have that become a positive rather than a negative. So it's quite honestly, it might be one of the most amazing projects our firm has done in decades. It'll affect thousands of people a day. And just the fact that it's locally owned to really create this presence, it's been a time schedule because they want to make sure they get this up and running before, say, a Whole Foods or any other type of market might come in to the area.
Hey, Rob.
Yeah.
And this is Chris. Could you focus on the 4th Avenue portion now and what you're planning in the building? And then you can maybe go back to this eastern part, which we're not reviewing, so that we get a sense more about what is happening on the main portion of the.
Okay, you got it. Yeah. So currently, I don't know if this is a shortened version. Can you all see this little hand that's on the screen of the site
Yeah.
plan? So that's the demarcation point of the existing buildings, and then everything to the right of that is new. Currently, there's like a warehouse little thing back here. It's not to code. There's a ramp that people trip on inside. So that was one of the things is how do we do all our ramping outside, then the entire facility, both for customers as well as workers, is all on the same level. That was kind of a caveat that we had to do. So basically, coming from this parking area, you ascend down this ramp as a customer, go straight into the store. And this is all new. You can see it. It's the legend talks about the new structure, but that's all new, both warehouse as well as customer space. And then in the back of the existing co-op, there's some kind of grocery or produce prep area as well as a bathroom. That goes away since we're providing all new bathrooms and warehouse in the back. So they both increase the square footage of the existing as well as this entire area here is all new kind of customer space. This space here will be a covered canopy, which, as Maria mentioned, will be used for demonstration space, hangout space, coffee shop in the morning. People can have lunch and even hopefully dinner, and then even an entertainment type venue, which I know there's been a couple of establishments on 4th Avenue which have that back area, which is highly popular, especially at night, even during the summer. The whole idea is to create this edible landscape. So these trees are going to be fruit trees. We're also doing rainwater harvesting, which is these big tanks here. There's actually going to be solar on top of the canopy. And then the whole idea of this garden space. So just showing food security, how everything, for the most part, comes within a fairly close range for their produce that's at the co-op, and there's tons of great locally owned farms. So basically, this is a customer experience along this route here from parking across Hoff down and then into the building. The secondary thing, we initially had this combined, but then we thought, if there's something being loaded in the middle of store hours, we'd want a separate ramping down for that. So this is kind of back a house ramp that gets us straight back into the cold storage as well as dry storage of the back area. And then this space here, the hope is that's an enclosed area for like boxes, for bikes, for employee hangouts, have some hammocks in there. So that pretty much describes what's happening on the 4th Avenue part. If that works, is that enough information for you, Chris? And
We'll for some questions. Are there any questions about the 4th Avenue part? That's what we're reviewing today.
Will the 4th Ave, this is Bill, will the 4th Avenue entrance still be maintained?
Yes, it will. So that was something that came up. It's always difficult to have two kind of point of purchase, but they've figured that out. So the point of purchase will still be here as well as in the back area. And I think it's going to be, we call it a socialization of how this works, because everyone is currently using that 4th Avenue entrance, which will remain. But eventually, I think the goal is to have people come in and not just buy a couple things in a little tote bag, is to actually do their entire grocery shopping here where they can then load up into their car. I also wanted to mention, like, the whole idea of that being shaded parking area, porous paving, but we're also providing, I think we initially had 9, we're providing at least 5 electric vehicle charging stations, which is the future. It's going to be pretty amazing. So we want to have this parking area, everything about this, we want to have it be forward looking, both for the co-op as well as potentially even for the rest of 4th Avenue across the whole city.
Okay. Other questions for Rob?
Next, that's just the 4th Avenue. Which one is it here? Yeah. Okay, so this is just a blow up of just the 4th Avenue area.
So this is Bill again. There's no changes to the front elevation on 4th Avenue in conjunction with the remodel?
Yeah, there's none, although I think there could be some improvements. Even how they market themselves, their food conspiracy co-op, there's no mention of groceries. So that's something we're going to work with them on. It might just be graphics or signage, but initially the thought is all that money is spent in the back, since that, hopefully that it's going to become the primary entrance. Unless you're hanging out on 4th Ave on the streetcar on a bike or something.
This is Eric with Arc Studios. I don't have any comments. I think actually it looks like a wonderful project as far as providing more shade trees, integrating water harvesting into projects where it's very difficult to do that. And I think this is going to be a nice added amenity to the 4th Avenue space.
Thanks.
I'll go ahead and comment. I think we should have Jody Brown on record, since plans review hasn't had the opportunity until the 16th to comment if she anticipates any requests from plans review.
Let me get her back, Mr. Bird. She was on standby. I'm gonna ask her to rejoin.
I don't see a problem with the plans. I think it's a great plan. Also, for clarification, Maria, who will be reviewing the Hoff Avenue parcels? So it's on record in the meeting.
Yeah, that would be the standard, core of reviewers, going through the standard development package review process.
But
You
And if they need,
that while Judy comes in, the plans review has not had the opportunity to review this plan, but it's scheduled for the 16th of this month.
Mhm. Yeah, Mr. Burr, Mr. Chair, members of the DRC, the property on the east side of Hoff will be reviewed like any other project. If they need some type of break for anything, they have choices through like the Board of Adjustment or DDOs, but that's a whole different animal.
Yeah, I understand it. The only question I would have about those other parcels is, are the residential properties on either side of the changes on board with the package, even though that's not our purview to have.
Yeah, we had a neighborhood meeting like a month ago with the neighborhood, with all the neighbors.
So where do I pay?
But within our purview, I personally don't see any problems with the plan.
Yeah, and actually,
And
I'm sorry, and to your point, Don, is there's no new square footage being added on the Hoff site. So it's literally just, there's a partial parking area. We're extending that all the way through to, I think it's 3rd Avenue, which takes us all the way to Tucson High. It's so interesting with a project like this. Everyone, like even Bill Viner mentioned, the whole emphasis is on that 4th Avenue entrance, but now we're going to have an east entrance that also extends all the way to, the Tucson High, what's it called, to 3rd Street. So it's going to be a fantastic thing, and I do think that even other properties along 4th Avenue could look at something like this. Like half the site along the back end of 4th Avenue, it's unused and just dirt or just stuff everywhere. Anyhow,
Maria, has any response from Jody yet?
I texted her. Let me.
Okay, well, let's just keep going on
Okay.
this. Are there It's on the Fourth Avenue portion of this.
Uh,
We can go through.
Specific question
Yeah,
that
Mr. Chair, I just would like to share the comments I got from Mr. Madlek from the
Okay.
Fourth Avenue Merchants Association. Can people see my screen?
Not yet.
Do I need to stop sharing mine? Oh yeah, we'll stop.
Maybe.
I'll stop sharing mine so you can share yours.
Okay,
Okay,
there we
thank
are.
you. And I'll just read through it. He says,
Okay.
I actually attended a neighborhood design meeting with the architect on October 28th. At that time, and as things were at that point, they had satisfactorily answered all of my questions, concerns. I personally believe the design looks great. I had asked if the remodel impacted the front of the building on the 4th Avenue side. They had indicated no. One concern I have during construction will be any impact on 4th Avenue traffic and the modern streetcar. If all work will be handled from Hoff and 3rd Avenue, there should be no conflicts. And he said, if I can break away from the street fair for a while on Friday for the meeting, I will try.
Thank you, Maria.
And I don't see Jody. Michael, can you kick in terms of the question Mr. Berg had of potential issues
Yeah.
that may be addressed by the PRS?
I have had a discussion with Jody on this project. The full conspiracy is scheduled before plans of use committee on the 16th. Based on our review of the material that was written and my discussion with Jody, we do not anticipate any major problem or any issue with the review coming up on the 16th. But if we get to plans review and there is something outstanding that will require this body to take a look at it, I'm sure that Maria, you can take the recommendation back to this body. But at this point in time, we are not anticipating any issue.
Thank you, Michael. Are there other questions about the main structure facing 4th Avenue and portion to Hoff?
And Mr. Chair, members of the DRC, we also have Rick Gonzalez, the design professional,
Okay.
available to make a statement or answer questions.
Yeah, so Maria, as you already stated, I've reviewed this a couple times and recommended approval. I looked at the basically 14 main items that concern the 4th Avenue subdistrict. And I see that everything's pretty much in compliance. The only thing I would add at this point is the crosswalk between or on Hoff be delineated either with striping or change of material, since it is considered a primary road.
Yeah. And actually that will be, this is Rob Paulus. Absolutely.
What material are you guys going to use there, or do you think?
The intent was to actually, which I'm not sure, the intent was to carry the same concrete across and have it actually level up a little higher. So it's like a speed bump. Worst case scenario, it'll be striped.
Okay, that sounds fine to me. That's really the only other thing that I had to add. I think it's going to be a really nice project to add to the 4th Avenue enhancements.
Thank you.
Rob,
Thank you, Rick.
They also have a stamping within asphalt machine TDOT has that can kind of differentiate it to create this a visual appearance of a separate. If TDOT doesn't let you, or whatever it's called this week, doesn't allow you to change the material.
Yeah. Okay. No, I think that's all on our civil drawings, and the intent was to really make that a wayfinding passageway that continues all the way down. So our unless it gets VE'd out of the budget, which it's crazy. This thing, it's almost 50% over budget from less than a year ago. It's nuts. So yeah, that's duly noted, and thank you for that suggestion.
Maria, one more question for Maria. I looked through, and the only recommendations for some required changes appear to come from fire. Have all of those issues been addressed?
The applicant hasn't resubmitted plans yet based on comments received. Rob, would you like to answer that?
Yeah, it's so this project, like there couldn't be any project that is as difficult as this. Even our Trinity project was easier, Chris. But the fire, we thought we had it figured out, but then the fire department looked at it, which is typically later on in the review process, and they said it wasn't the right pressure. And so we had to go back in and basically, with building code, change some of the building types out to be without fire sprinklers. So that we've handled that, and the best of my ability, I think we figured out how to make that work building code wise. We had to switch up a couple things with firewalls and the fire rating of different areas, including the canopy was originally going to be all wood underneath, which we've done a number of these canopies, but it's now been switched out to metal. And just paint it. It's fine. It's so high up in the air. So I believe we have that all figured out, and what are we waiting on for resubmittal? Oh yeah, our electrical engineer was literally 2 months behind, so otherwise those would have been already back in for review.
Okay.
This is a hard time to do anything.
I understand, and I understand facilitating a request before the holidays and everything. I just want to make sure we're on board with dotting our I's and crossing our T's before we approve what I think is a great plan.
Okay, awesome. No, thank you.
Well, if there are no more questions, comments, I'm going to ask for a vote on this.
I'm happy to make a motion to approve.
Okay.
In the matter of IID 20-13, the board recommends approval, subject to the condition that any requests by plans reviewed are considered.
Okay. Is there a second?
I second it. It's Bill.
Okay. You take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Good plan, Rob. Thanks.
Oh yeah, thank all of you. Appreciate it. Look forward to getting this thing done.
Good luck to you.
All right, take care.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Next on the agenda is 4, call the audience. You have up to 3 minutes to talk. I don't think we have anybody who wants to talk. Okay, item 5, future agenda items. Maria?
Mr. Chair, members of the DRC, nothing scheduled yet. We're still working with the Bautista project on the west end, and also with Peach Properties for a group of properties on Stone and east of Stone, on the south side of town. They're coming back with a change of conditions on the previously approved IID for, I believe, is 375 South Stone, but also they're adding other properties in the area. So they're working on that as well. Also, we may have a project for restaurants and bars on 4th Avenue and Main, on 4th Street, I'm sorry, 4th Street and Main. And so these are all projects on the works, but nothing scheduled yet.
Okay. Well, thank you. If there's nothing else, this meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good
Thanks, Sonia.
holiday.
Thank you. Happy holidays,
you.
and thank you so much.
Be well, be safe.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take care, all.
Happy holidays to everyone.
Thank you, Michael.
Welcome.